resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
We struggled as a strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Well, a very good morning to you. Welcome to Global Morning here on Global Television. My name is Godwin Sunday. Well, it's a good time to tap your friends and your neighbors, your cousins, your brothers, your sisters across the world to right now be alert to join us in these various conversations that we have for you today. And like I said earlier on, my name is Godwin Sunday, and I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing this with my colleague here in the studio. Good morning, Priscilla.
Good morning, Godwin.
Yeah. It's a beautiful day, right?
Of course, it is.
All right, so let's begin the show by even looking at the lineup for today. Well, today we'll be taking you around the various conversations from the political scene, what's happening within the political space. Then we'll travel through to the various happenings, even today being the International Day for the Cultural and Diversity Day for Social Development. We'll look at all of those conversations that we have guests that are also lined up for you today. And not forgetting also that we'll also be kind enough to take you around the newspaper review to help you make sense with the various papers. And of course, we'll look at all of these lined up activities for today. But first, let's even look at Nigeria right now as a way of starting up the conversation and talking about Nigeria with about 550 ethnic groups and 250 languages across Nigeria. Nigeria is a typical example of cultural diversity. When we look at our various culture, somebody said that Nigeria has 250 languages. And I beg to disagree that Nigerian languages are more than 250 languages. How do I know this? Because when you travel to a place like Cross River State, you get to see majority of languages from Obodu down to Ogoja and other part of Cross River. But let me leave the conversation with Priscilla at this point in time because she's well traveled and she's well informed about some of this conversation. Priscilla, it's over to you. What do you think about the cultural diversities?
Well, I think we're vast. That is proven, But one interesting part about culture for me in this part of the world, or one thing I would like to hear your thoughts really about is, the issue of we tend to, want to preach that we're one, you understand? And then when it comes to intertribal marriages, I really do not think we have, accepted it.
All right, so while we're trying to get Priscilla's thought on that issue that borders on marriage, women will always come from the perspective of marriage first, to like family, relationship. Not that the men don't care about these things. We do, of course, we do it from our own way. I say men are less talkers and more actors. So that's why when the dad sometimes walks into the house, he doesn't talk, but the whole house will be arranged in 30 seconds. But all of that. But then we'll look at all of this in our unity in diversity as a country, especially using Nigeria as a case study. I was talking about traveling from in different parts of Cross River State, where you get to also experience some languages in Cross River State, especially a place in Obudu, local government area of Cross River State, where there's a village in Obudu where the men speak different language, women speak different language, but it's the same village. And they have a uniform language that unifies them as a people. And all of this trend that tends to be not calculated into the language structure because they don't form the basics, or they don't form the majority cultural languages within that community. Then we also have, if you look at Africa, we said that Africa has 3 major languages, which are, they call them they taxonomize them into the Afro-Asiatics, then the Niger Congos and others like that. But then let's leave the thoughts with Priscilla, who was bringing us up to speed on marital issues and languages. Let's even get our thought on this. Please continue.
Okay, so I would like to get your perspective on the modern day dating. Over time we've heard we're one, tribe does not matter, and all of that. Do you think that as Nigerians, people from this part of the world, have we come to embrace intertribal marriages? Is it no longer a problem, or do you think we still face, the whole setbacks between parents, complaining when their children bring spouses or friends from different tribes? Do you think we've gone past that?
Well, I think that conversation is a bit, stereotypic, because most people that are not too wealthy within Nigeria will think along that path of marry somebody from your culture, from your tribe. But that's not a conversation for people within the upper class of Nigeria, because when you look at all Nigerian politicians, start from Atiku, then Obasanjo, then a lot of them, how many politicians in Nigeria have wives that are off and from their own extractions? Even looking at the IBB Babangida, his wife and all of that, his wife is from Delta State, was from Delta State. So when you look at all of this conversation around, I think it's a class thing, not really a generic thing, because like minds work together. So most people will tell you that, okay, I don't want my child or my son, my daughter to get married to somebody from the lower cadal of the economy, that is going to the lower class, to get a wife from that path of the world. But then when we look at all of those things, for me, I think it's an issue. We've gone past that stage, thanks to NYSC, that have been able to make a lot of Nigerians to be exposed. Okay. I once dated a lady that personal experience though.
Oh, interesting.
I once went out with a lady where we get to, she was, our parents refused us getting married because the parents felt that I'm from certain part of Nigeria and we're not aligning. So fortunately, unfortunately, that's why I said thank God for NYSC. She was sent to my state to serve. Okay. And not just my state. She was sent to my local government. Not just my local government, she was sent to my clan, not just my clan, she was sent to my village to go and serve. And she stayed in my village for 1 year. And every day in that 1 year, I will call her and ask her, how far? What's the update? She would say, can you just stop asking? I said, because you need to explain to your mom. But eventually we didn't end up getting married. But that's just one path. But when you now get to the upper echelon of the economy, you realize that the conversation differs. At that point, people don't talk about languages you speak, because languages can be learned. Cultures can be learned, and people can easily adapt to this. If you love a man, of course, you want to adapt to some of the belief that he stands for and the culture, the language that he speaks. We have AI right now that teaches languages, so that's
how perfect does AI teach languages?
Well, we have linguists across the various social media platforms. That I know of a linguist in the UK that teaches Nigerian children how to speak Yoruba dialect, and a lot of Britons.
Okay, let me just cut you there. I understand your perspective, right? But at the end of the day, I think we have, this set of elders. Do they have their reasons quite right? Saying they could come from the perspective of, when you marry someone from your culture, you get to understand them deeply. You have less drama, during the first years of marriage, or you're trying to align with your partner and all of that. And I kind of think it makes a little sense, even though I am not, someone that would, want to push tribalism and all of that. But when it comes to getting married from, someone from a different tribe, it's marriage is, there's a lot to weigh. And sometimes we want to outweigh some things. Like you said, class comes to play, but someone that would get class and get, tribe and get everything in one, don't you think they have an advantage?
There's no advantage in marriage.
Okay.
There's no advantage in marriage, neither is there any disadvantage. The most conforming thing for everybody in marriage is love. Once you love the person, you guys can cohabit. You believe that you guys can raise kids together, you guys can plan the future together, and you guys are good. Sincerely speaking.
So you think love is enough? Love.
Sincerely speaking, this issue about tribe languages is very interesting, but any language can be learned. I'm not a Yoruba person.
But not everyone has the ears for languages,
Languages, English language was taught. A lot of people learned English language. A lot of people are learning French. People are learning German and Dutch. People are learning a lot of languages. Languages can be taught. People learn them. That's why we have schools for foreign languages. People go to schools to learn. So in the space of, imagine you doing a course in the space of 2 years, you're already speaking the language, traveling to that community to learn how they speak. Of course, language is just it's just a minute conversation because languages can be learned. If you love a person, a lady, you love the person, and there is enough funds, and you feel there's a need for you to communicate with the person's dialect, of course you begin to make extra step to want to learn what the person speaks, so that in some instance you'll be able to tell the children. Like I said before, I'm not from Yoruba. I'm not a Yoruba guy, but if I speak Yoruba, you'll be amazed. Like, okay, this guy I speak Yoruba with a lot of people, and they wonder, like, God, are you Yoruba guy? I don't know if we.
Okay, let me just cut it. Did you marry someone from your tribe? No. Oh, interesting.
No.
That is
I'm a detribalized Nigerian first.
Nice.
I'm a detribalized Nigerian. I don't talk about languages. I don't talk about tribe. I talk about humanity. I talk about people. So I don't deal with you as you're from the east, west, north, or south. I deal with you first as a human being, and secondly, I deal with you as a Nigeria. Then from there, we can now take the conversation further. So say, because when you travel outside the shores of this country, interestingly, if you travel outside the shores of Nigeria, let's take a case study of Ghana. Okay. If you're in Ghana, and Nigerians see you in Ghana, they don't ask you, are you from Akwa Ibom,
that's
Cross
true.
River?
Yeah.
They ask you, where are you from? You say, I'm in Nigeria. The first thing Nigerians scream. I think this is similar even when you travel to UK. When you get to, you see the embrace the love you get. Say, this is my brother. You don't get to hear, this one is from the north. When you travel outside the shores of Nigeria, same thing with when you find an Igbo man that is from, a person from the eastern part of Nigeria. You travel to Lagos or you travel to any part of Nigeria. Once an Igbo person sees you, they don't call you, this one is from Imo State, he's from Ebonyi, he's from Enugu. When they see you, say, meet my brother. Same thing with Yorubas. Meet my brother first. Then before they now ask you, sorry, where in the east are you from? Say, I'm from. I said, it no matter. You are my brother. Why? Because we have, if you meet a Nigerian outside, you'll be proud to be a Nigerian. You'll be super proud because we don't talk languages. We don't talk tribes outside the shores of this country. I think it's just one strategy for politicians to disunite us and try to, because there is unity in our diversity. It's just one point for politicians to just make it looks as make us have this perception that one tribe, one ethnic group, one religion is superior to the other. But if you concretely look at it, even when we talk about the Yorubas is splitted into various Yorubas. When you get to Ondo State, you understand that the Yoruba you learned is a caricature of what they understand. When you get to the north, when you get to hear some languages in the north, you begin to wonder, I thought all of you speak Hausa.
True.
No, we don't all speak Hausa.
That's well, let me get your perspective. You just mentioned the politicians, and how they use the whole tribal sentiments to disunite us. As much as we want to say that there is beauty in our diversity, of course there is. But when do you think would we ever get to that point where we accept it, the beauty in our diversity, and accept that we are one? It is understandable, or it is agreed. I will agree with you that when a Nigerian leaves this part of the world, travels out there and sees, a fellow Nigerian, most times they're not concerned about the tribe because you have few Nigerians there. So the first thing that is on their mind is to connect with whom, no matter the race, no matter the tribe you get. But when you come down to Nigeria, it's a problem. It is still a problem, as much as we want to put it as a thing of the past. But it is still a problem. In the workplace, it is a problem. People get to connect more. Is it a natural phenomenon? People connecting more with people they are used to, or somehow people they have been told that this is my own, even if they have not really, had a bond, in the time past. But somehow I still feel like we're battling with this really tribal.
It's an individual thing. I don't think it's a general thing. I don't think it's a general thing. It's an individual. If you come from a home where love is being taught, and not just love is being taught, love is being practiced in your home. First is when you see the things about hugging people, you wouldn't have an underlying thought around hugging. You just feel like, okay, hugging is just one of those things that make people feel good.
Yeah.
Understand? If you come from a home where giving is a primary thing, you won't have a concern when people give out food and you begin to measure the grains of rice that has been dished out, how many models of gari did the person take, how many molds. All those things won't be your concern. Like my mom would always say, that when you give people food, you give them a reason to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
So food is just nothing. So you grew up with that orientation, you grew up with love in your mind, you grew up now. The world might not accept some of this dictums and some of the things that we stand for, but then this is where you are being brought up. So I believe that most parents should try as much as they can to talk about more of love, even to their children, and not just talk love, demonstrate love and practice love, even at home. Imagine a child that you're free to talk to your parents. I recall when you have a lot of teenagers that can openly talk to you as a friend than talking to their parents as a friend, because their parents will easily bully them out, will not want to listen to them. So they find companion in talking to other people other than their parents.
Yeah.
But some of us, when I get back home, for example, the kids want to talk to me. Everybody want to like, daddy, I have gist for you. Like, okay, let's get this out. And we get to talk.
Yeah.
We get to play. We get to run around the house. We get to laugh. Then I tell them, okay, it's bedtime. Let's go and say our prayers and sleep and all of that. So they grew up knowing fully well that I can confide in my dad. I can confide in my mom. Sometimes conversation, I don't want to let my mom to. I don't want to let give my mom an outer of understand of what I want to discuss. My dad understand the languages. He'll know what to do.
Okay.
And all of this. So it's kind of a home setting. I think that all this deformity, like I do say, that we don't treat a conversation from the up down. We treat it from the down up. So the Nigerian is built by individuals. These individuals belong to families. These families belong to a community. This community belongs to local government. This local government belongs to a state. The state belongs to a federating unit. So if we begin to look at all of this strata for understanding the various cultural diversity in the country, I think this will be better for us to be able to harness our unity in diversity. But the conversation on the other hand should rather be that what are we doing from primary schools, even from the angle of the secondary schools, primary schools, and also from the government, to ensure that we embrace the various diverse languages that we have in a country, knowing fully well that we don't just have the majority language, which are called the majority language, the Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, and the Ibibio. Yes, and these are.
Why do you have to put
no, Ibibio forms the majority language.
Okay.
Yes, you know what, you have Wazobia D, and that's why you have Clement Insong in your 1,000 naira note.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it forms the basis for that conversation.
Okay, let me get. We're talking about schools now. Now, I would like to agree with you. One of the points you raised, the fact that we have moved past the cultural differences. I think the Gen Zs are beginning to accept that we are one somehow. But there is a disadvantage to that. Somehow, I feel like our languages are fading away. We don't have intentional parents, passing down this knowledge of language to their children. Do we blame the parents? Do we blame our schools? Who do we blame?
Well, the blame game will not start here. It will not end here. Because we have experts that are coming in this morning to also talk to us about some of this blame game syndrome. And of course, we'll hear from them and get a professional angle to this. But if you ask me, I don't think it's a matter of the paradigm shift in terms of language. I think it's a paradigm shift in terms of civilization. Okay. Most people want to be more civilized than civility itself. So there's a Yoruba song, and let's not go there. That Alajule, you won't understand it. Says civilization has made us to forget our culture, our foundation, and also our. But then it's not about moving away from languages, from culture. I think for me, it's about the fact that most people are beginning to live more pretentious, more fake, and more sophisticated. Yeah, so we try to be more sanctimonious. You see an elder right now, you want to tell the elder hi, instead of saying good morning. And you see an elder, you want to shake the elder with one hand, and this was not part of the culture that was passed on to us.
So are you in any way saying that this culture has to be static from generation to generation?
Okay, so that's why I talk about civilization.
Okay.
You understand? So there's something about civilization. When you pass through, you grow up. I told you, when you stay in the western part of Nigeria, if you pass an elder, you can't pass an elder, you don't dobale, you don't prostrate.
That is the Yoruba culture.
Oh, no, hold on. You don't pass an elder without prostrating. But right now, what we see is a situation where most Gen Zs will pass an elder and tell you, hi, what's up? And you're like, okay, where's this coming from? It's just the trend. Now, the thing is, it's not the parents. Neither is it the school, neither is it the government. But it's a situation where right now, we see more of our national orientation policies. You understand? Most of our films that we pull out there tend to make it look like you can sleep and wake up in the morning and become a millionaire. You will see movies that don't talk about full respect.
Morals.
So all of those conversations is what we send, and these guys are more addicted to devices than connecting with actual human beings. So I think we should begin to have a national orientation policy that will begin to bring back and re-inject some of what we believe to be our cultural norms and tradition. But like I said before, the expert will come talk to us about some of this dimension, because I'm not a professional in that field. I'm just giving my 1 penny to that conversation. All right, Priscilla, I know we have a lot of things to talk about. We've been signaled right now that it's time to go for the newspaper review, where we get to talk about the various papers making national dailies this morning. Please stay with us as the conversation continues here on Global Morning. We'll be right back.
The All Progressives Congress, APC, cordially invites party stakeholders to a national summit themed Renewed Hope Agenda, the journey so far. APC stakeholders invited include the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, Vice President Kashim Shettima, President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio. Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Barao Jibrin. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu. APC state governors and their deputies. Former President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, and former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, GCON. Other invited stakeholders include former President and Deputy President of the Senate, former Speakers and Deputy Speakers of the House of Representatives, former Governors and Deputy Governors, all currently serving Senators and members of the House of Representatives, all members of the National Working Committee, National Caucus and National Executive Committee of the APC, all members of the Federal Executive Council, Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Also invited are former APC National Chairmen and National Secretaries, Speakers and Deputy Speakers of the State Houses of Assembly, Zonal Leaders, State Chairmen, State Secretaries, State Women Leaders, State Youth Leaders, State Publicity Secretaries, State Organizing Secretaries, and State Leaders of Persons with Disabilities of the APC. 2 zonal representatives of APC, Youth Wing, Women's Wing, Persons with Disabilities, support groups, media groups, and social media influencers of the party. Other invited stakeholders include representatives of APC, diaspora chapters, commissioners for information in APC states, 7 additional selected stakeholders from each state, representatives of the 2023 Presidential Campaign Council, heads of ministries, departments, and agencies. The National Summit, which is being convened as a platform for dialogue, reflection, and strategic planning for the future of our great party and the nation, is scheduled to hold as follows. Date, Thursday, the 22nd of May, 2025. Time, 10 a.m. Venue, Banquet Hall, Presidential Villa, Abuja. Signed, Senator Surajuddin Ajibola Bashir, National Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, APC.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, welcome back. Well, we'll begin this morning with the Punch newspaper. Like we usually say, let's get punchy this morning. Well, dollar overflows for fuel imports surges 119%. You can find that read on page 29. That's just above the nameplate of the Punch newspaper. Then we have your federal panel submits key reports on census funding. You can find that read on page 16 of the Punch newspaper. States to draft new framework for LG autonomy. You can find that read on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And of course, by my right hand side of the Punch newspaper, we have the traditional council protest as Oyo Assembly backtracks. And find all of that read on that for page 43 of the paper to know what's going on in Oyo State at the moment. Okay, let's look at the big story here. The star story here says May 29, Tinubu to review ministers' scorecards. It comes with a rider that says President May gets ministers' new assessment report this week. Low performing ministries under pressure. Well, we'll get to see all of that play out in come May 29. If the president is going to reshuffle, we can't say for sure as it stands right now, but let's keep hoping that the president will do the needful in terms of not ministers that are not performing effectively and optimally. FG to auction 753 duplexes seized from MFLA. You find all of that read there on the Punch newspaper. Immigration mobilizes joint task force against terror threat. You can find that read on page 20. Missing Lagos bankers, cops found in morgue. Well, that's quite interesting. You can find that story on page 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. Or PS faults MPC over 27.5% interest rate. Well, I understand that the Central Bank of Nigeria is maintaining a single interest rate, and at this point, well, you can find all of that read on the Punch newspaper. You go out there and get yourself a copy of the Punch newspaper to stay abreast and stay informed with current happenings across the country. Up next is the Nation's newspaper, and Priscilla will take us through that paper.
All right, it's an interesting read here on the Nation's newspaper. We have on page 6 a story repeating from the Punch. EFCC hands over Emefiele's linked 753 Abuja duplexes to the government. On page 27 here, it says, Oyo House okays rotation of Oba's council chairmanship. And then we have on page 5 here, Senator not elected to fight president. Abio declares. The big story here saying Umahi, all Southeast governors backing Tinubu for a second term. That you will find on page 29. Plan for Southeast Summit and endorsement and course. On course. President's performance wonderful, says Eno. We also have here on page 5, no governance in Rivers when I declared emergency. That is President telling the Supreme Court. That is an interesting read. On page 7 here it says, Time ranks Dangote among world's top 100 philanthropists. We have another news here saying PDP senators differ with governors over coalition. And then right here says reps panel Ohaneze 6 independent probe of UTME glitches. Sorry, that is on page 28 on the Nation's newspaper. Do grab your copy and you'll find the details of all the stories here making it on the Nation's newspaper this morning. So go over to This Day newspaper and Gordon takes us through that.
All right, so let's look at This Day newspaper, where we also have the stories that's making the national dailies, where the CBN retains MPRO at 27.50% amid inflation, moderation improved microeconomy threshold. It comes with a rider that says decline in crude oil prices pose new challenge for budget implementation. Where you can find all of that read there on This Day newspaper. Time names Aliko Dangote among world's top 100 philanthropists. You can find that story there on page 27 of this day newspaper. That's just above the nameplate. Now, below the nameplate, we have in major win for anti-graft war, EFCC transfers 753 houses seized from Emefiele in housing ministry. Or to housing ministry, I beg your pardon. Well, you can find that read on page 10 of this day newspaper. Idris, Tinubu reforms initially triggered hardship, now yielding measurable outcomes. Well, you can find that read the paper. Well, recall, don't know which of the Idris this is, but you can find out which of the Idris this is. It says, renewed hope agenda laying groundwork for nation's economic growth. And no, Nigerians' economy problems, not president's creation. Well, you can find all of that read there. But which of the Idris are we talking about here? Is this the Idris Abdul Karim that have come out to say Sheyi should tell his papa, or which of the Idris? Well, let's not take you down that lane this morning, but you can go out there and get yourself a copy of this day newspaper to stay abreast with what's going on. Now, the star story here says Putin OT Mba on the spot. Umahi claims all Southeast governors are supporting Tinubu for 2027. Quite a big story here. It comes with 4 riders that says PDP caucus in region formally represents Ude Okoye for national secretary. Threatens to pull out if rejected. Udenwa insists forces behind Iron not triggered, not bigger than them. Deputy National Chair promises party will discuss their resolution, submit it to NEC. Our party still working strong, senators declare. Right, there's a picture image story here that shows the image of the CBN governor who was having a briefing with the other team members. Of course, you can go out there to get yourself a copy of this day newspaper. And up next is the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, where Priscilla will take us through that paper.
All right, there's an interesting read also on Nigerian Tribune. We have on page 6 a story that says CBN retains lending rates at 27.50%, expresses concern about recent deadlines in crude oil prices, reassures public on banking sector stability. And then we have on page 4 here that says compulsory voting bill unconstitutional, draconian, that is coming from the NBA. And the writer here that says tell NAS to discontinue process. The big story here says FG to sell 753 unit housing estates recovered from Emefiele, and that you will find on page 2. With the writers here that say EFCC hands over estate to Ministry of Housing, and Senate proposes separate agency to manage assets seized by EFCC, ICPC, Customs, and others. I really do hope that, this whole decision will benefit the citizens. We have on page 3 here that says Ondo Amotekun rescues 10 years old boy from child traffickers, organ harvesters, suspects arrested. And that is on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. We also have on page 13 here that says Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway tolling begins December. That is coming from Umahi, the Minister of Works. And then we have on page 4 Time magazines names Dangote among world's top 100 philanthropists. That is an interesting one, and it's a big congratulations to Dangote. On page 2 here it says protests as stray bullet kills wire candidate in Ibadan. And then we also have on page 13 here it says Oyo Assembly okays rotation of chairmanship of Obas amongst Alafin, Olubadan sound. Lawmakers from Oyo Town stage walkouts. That's an interesting read. Please do grab a copy of the Nigerian Tribune to get the full details of these juicy stories. Now we go over to Daily Trust, and we have Godwin to tell us what Daily Trust has for us on its papers this morning.
Well, like every other paper this morning that captures the Mayfele story, of course, a Daily Trust is not left behind in that the capturing of that story also. We have up just below the nameplate, FG to sell a Mayfele's 753 unit housing estate, even here in Abuja. 7 inmates escaped from custody in Oshun. Protests as stray bullets kills WASC students in Oyo. The big story here says Bojit. It comes with a kicker that says Bojit. NAS inserted 11,122 projects worth 6.9 trillion naira in 2025 budget. Well, out through is that you can go out there and get yourself a copy of the Daily Trust newspaper. 2027 PDP senators give condition for coalition against Tinubu. You can find all of that read on Daily Trust newspaper. Now, tanker explodes at sports festival venue in Ogun State. Well, that's on the sports side. You can go out there and get yourself a copy. On the foreign scene, even here on the Daily Trust, UK, Canada, France threaten Israel with concrete actions over Gaza. You can find that story there, even there on the Daily Trust newspaper. Out-train attack suspect got Hajj documents. Out-train attack suspect got Hajj documents. Well, you can find all of that read there on the Daily Trust newspaper. But go out and get yourself a copy, and while we also try to bring you up to speed with some of this conversation in the course of the day, even as we have various conversation here on global television. Well, up next is the Guardian newspaper, and of course Priscilla will be doing justice to that.
Okay, so we have on the Guardian newspaper on page 3 here, says ICPC busts bank account of 6-week bachelor's degree racket. Interesting. On page 5 here it says Borgit uncovers 11,122 projects worth 6.93 trillion naira inserted into 2025 budget. That is interesting. On page 7, beg your pardon, it says we're sacrificing quality for quantity with universities proliferation, says Bajabiamilia. On page 6 here, it says MPC 6 fiscal support on Naira stability and retains interest rates at 27.5%. On page 7 here says LASK clarifies water sachet PET bottle not included in single-use plastic ban. That is coming from the Lagos State, I guess. And page 7 says Gateway 2025 over 10 million Adira clothing sold in 10 days, says Olopade. On page 5 here, it is ECOWAS at 50 go on restates Nigeria's foreign policy trust as a Pabio urges unity, stability. Still on the Guardian newspaper on page 6 here says PDP turmoil escalates with Southeast factions at odds over secretaryship. I hope this whole PDP drama comes to an end, soonest. Page 29 here says Umahi affirms Southeast governors' support for Tinubu's second term bid. I just wonder how one, person, is giving the whole go ahead for the whole Southeast. Well, then it's an interesting read, and it is politics for you. Page 5 here says FG to dispose 753 housing units linked to Emefiele, just as we have seen on the other papers here. We still have a story here that says stray bullets kills while candidates NAN demands justice. Okay, that is it for the Guardian newspaper this morning, and then we go next.
Okay, so let's even touch the last paper for time constraint here.
Okay.
Which is the Vanguard newspaper for this morning. It's our last paper because of time constraint. Discos above the nameplate. Disco performance in power supply disappointing. That's coming from the federal government. UTME results due to human error, not technical glitch. That's coming from Reps, and I can find that on page 9. Time magazine names Aliko Dangote among top 100 philanthropists worldwide. You can find that read on page 26 of the Vanguard newspaper. A kicker here says 2027, 5 Southeast governors are with Tinubu. This is coming from Umahi, who is the Minister of Works. Well, how correct is that? You need to go out there and get yourself a copy of the paper. Now, the big story here says padding. NAS budget disagree over 6.93 trillion project in budget 2025. I thought we've gone past this stage of budget padding, but then another one has just been discovered even from the Ministry of Agriculture. Well, how true is this? Let's go out there and get yourself a copy. It comes with 3 riders. How NAS inserted 11,122 projects budget 2025 appropriation bill integrated passed based on exact amount presented Senate. NAS has powers to amend budget. Reps. Well, we'll see how this plays out. It is not captured by the budget and what the NAS approve. And of course, they can't tell Nigerians different things, and we're seeing different things thanks to Bajit who are bringing out this fact. But then we go out there and get yourself a copy to be on the right standing with this information. Well, how I begged Yaradua not to fight Obasanjo. This is coming from Lamido. Now, we have a picture story here, just a big one. Shows the handing over of seized properties of about 753 duplexes in Abuja. Well, we'll see what the federal government will do with this if they will not, in turn, give this to political cronies and political jobbers. We'll see how this plays out. We hope that civil servants will be able to benefit from all of this scheme. But House Tribulate killed WAEC students during chase in Ibadan. 2.9 million Nigerian children suffering from severe malnutrition. This is coming from UNICEF. Well, I thought to add Nigerian adults too, so not just the children. A lot of Nigerians are suffering malnutrition. Doping, 6 athletes sacked from sports festival. You can find all of that read there on the Vanguard always comes with a animation story of Mr. and Mrs. Well, of course, if you want to get the Mr. and Mrs. drama coming from the Vanguard newspaper, it's time to go out there and get yourself a copy of the Vanguard newspaper to stay abreast with current happenings even within the country. Priscilla, looking at the child that was street bullet has hit in Ibadan, and it's a sad one. Our heart goes out to the family. We just hope that the family will be able, God will grant the family the fortitude to be able to bear the loss, because it's not easy to lose a child that is right in WAEC. That child should be more than 15, if you ask me.
It is a sad one. It's a very sad one. And I just wonder why there should be a stray bullet during a chase.
Well, whatever the stray bullet and the chase means, we're still waiting to get the official statement from the Nigerian police to bring us up to speed on what's going on. But right now, we will go for a short break, and on top of the hour, we'll be going for the AM news. And when we return, we'll take you around the country again, talking about different issues from politics through to all the conversations in and around Nigeria. Please stay with us as Global Morning still continues.
The All Progressives Congress, APC, cordially invites party stakeholders to a national summit themed Renewed Hope Agenda, the journey so far. APC stakeholders invited include the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, Vice President Kashim Shettima, President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Barao Jibrin, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, APC State Governors and their deputies, former President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, and former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, GCON. Other invited stakeholders include former President and Deputy President of the Senate, former Speakers and Deputy Speakers of the House of Representatives, former Governors and Deputy Governors, all currently serving Senators and members of the House of Representatives, all members of the National Working Committee, National Caucus and National Executive Committee of the APC, all members of the Federal Executive Council, Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Also invited are former APC National Chairman and National Secretaries, Speakers and Deputy Speakers of the State Houses of Assembly, Zonal Leaders, State Chairmen, State Secretaries, State Women Leaders, State Youth Leaders, State Publicity Secretaries, State Organizing Secretaries, and State Leaders of Persons with Disabilities of the APC. 2 Zonal Representatives of APC, Youth Wing, Women's Wing, Persons with Disabilities, Support Groups, Media Groups, and Social Media Influencers of the party. Other invited stakeholders include representatives of APC, diaspora chapters, commissioners for information in APC states, 7 additional selected stakeholders from each state, representatives of the 2023 Presidential Campaign Council, heads of ministries, departments, and agencies. The National Summit, which is being convened as a platform for dialogue, reflection, and strategic planning for the future of our great party and the nation, is scheduled to hold as follows. Date, Thursday, the 22nd of May, 2025. Time, 10 a.m. Venue, Banquet Hall, Presidential Villa, Abuja. Signed, Senator Surajuddin Ajibola Bashir, National Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, APC.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. You can download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. Now the news in full. A protest organized by the Trade Union Congress, TUC, over unpaid allowances has compelled the federal government to pledge payment of the overdue allowances within the next 48 hours. The protest was over unpaid allowance and other outstanding entitlements owed to workers, some dating back to January 2025. Godwin Sunday tells us more.
The workers, dressed in red attire, blocked the main gate of the Ministry of Finance, effectively shutting down operations and disrupting traffic flow. They carried placards with messages such as "Wale Edun released the payment file" and "Please pay our entitlement," demanding immediate payment from the Finance Minister, Wale Edun. The protest was marked by the refusal of the protesters to engage with lower-ranking officials and their insistence on speaking directly with the Finance Minister. Attempts by ministry officials to open dialogue were rebuffed and the protests continued throughout the morning, causing significant disruption. In response to the protest, the federal government gave a firm assurance that all outstanding payments, including allowances and wages awards, would be settled within the next 48 hours.
48 hours, you will receive your payment. So on this note, I want to thank you people for agreeing to allow us to enter the office so that we do our work for you to have what you are looking for. Your voice has been heard and we will not disappoint you.
This protest was made to the protesting workers under the TUC as a direct reaction to their demand for the improved welfare conditions and the clearing of arrears.
Seeing the approval, we want it to translate into Naira and Kobo within a reasonable time. In the meantime, we are not calling off this action, sir. We are only going to suspend for a while. We will provide further instruction on our platform when we will resume here tomorrow. I wish to also put on notice, Honorable Pamsec, that all affiliates of TUC have been put on red alert. Tomorrow, we will converge here. But I tell you, comrades, further directives will be, you will see it on your platform on the next line of action.
Force. The protest successfully pressured the government to commit to resolving the issues of unpaid allowances promptly. Godwin Sunday, reporting for Global TV News.
The House of Representatives has passed for second reading a bill for an act to authorize the issuance from the Federal Government Territory Administration Statutory Revenue Fund of the Federal Capital Territory Administration account, a total sum of over 1.7 trillion naira. Uyi Agbomofuegbe completes the story.
The sum of 150,353,906,168 naira is allocated for personal costs, while 343,773,677,448 naira is earmarked for overhead costs. The balance of 1,289,690,124 naira is designated for capital projects for the service of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, for the fiscal year commencing 1st January and ending 31st December 2025. The bill was formally read on the floor of the House by the House Leader, Honorable Julius Iyonre.
Rise to move that the bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Federal Capital Territory Administration's Statutory Revenue Fund of the Federal Capital Territory Administration account, the total sum of 1,783,823,708,392 naira only, of which the sum of 150,353,906,168 naira only is for personnel costs.
In a related development, the House also passed for second reading a bill for an act to establish the Private Intelligence and Investigation Council. The proposed legislation seeks to create a regulatory framework to ensure professionalism, ethical conduct, and accountability among private intelligence and investigation firms. The bill was presented on the floor by sponsor Honorable Ahmed Satomi.
A regulatory framework that ensures professionalism, ethical conduct, and accountability of private intelligence and investigation firms, standardize the industry's practice, provide accreditation and certification, promote continuous training and development, foster collaboration between private and public security sectors, enhance the integrity and effectiveness of private intelligence and investigation council services.
The Non-Communicable Disease Alliance has challenged the National Assembly to support funding and policies for integrating hypertension screening, diagnosis, and management into primary healthcare centers nationwide. At an advocacy visit to the House of Representatives, the group of healthcare professionals also asked for a dedicated budget line for hypertension and other non-communicable diseases.
To recommit to meeting the 15% Abuja Declaration target for health sector funding with clear NCD targets, especially expansion of hypertension in the national health insurance coverage. One problem is that medications are getting more expensive. Most of our patients cannot afford medication. We need to register more people under the health insurance scheme. The basic healthcare provision fund has to be expanded. The community insurance, we have to do something.
Uyi Agmofwegbe reporting for Global TV News.
Civil tech organization Budget Nigeria says it has uncovered over 11,000 projects worth 6.93 trillion naira allegedly inserted by the National Assembly in the 2025 budget. The organization disclosed this in a statement published on its official X handle, describing the development as a deeply entrenched culture of exploitation and abuse led by top-ranking members of the National Assembly. President Bola Tinubu had on December 18, 2024, presented an appropriation bill of 49.74 trillion naira to the National Assembly for the 2025 fiscal year, up by 80.96% from the initially proposed 2024 budget. Overnight, still on the Nigerian Senate has approved the bill to amend the National Assembly Service Pension Board Act 2003 for its second reading. Senate leader Senator Bamidele Okpeyemi, the bill's sponsor, presented it on the Senate floor, emphasizing that the legislation seeks to reform the pension system for National Assembly members by reinstating a contributory pension scheme. Ramsey Agbo tells us more.
To the contributory pension scheme by ensuring a transparent and accountable system, to reintroduce gratuity payments that fairly compensate retirees for their service, aligning with best practices in pension management, to restructure the composition of the governing board to eliminate potential conflicts of interest and enhance governance transparency.
Supporting the bill, Senator Barau Jibrin and Tahir Monguno highlighted its significance and timely nature, noting that it will establish a framework beneficial to the National Assembly staff.
Having a workable pension scheme. Once you know you have workable pension scheme, you are okay, it will help you by the time you leave. Why are you going into corruption? You won't go into corruption. You will be you will be contented. That contentment will be there.
They stressed that the bill is essential for ensuring the long-term sustainability of the pension system for National Assembly personnel and for aligning it with best practices.
One of the best ways in order to encourage civil servants to contribute their widow's mite and their best while in service is to guarantee their future, is to ensure that by the time they retire, they will not be exposed to the vagaries and vicissitudes of economic and social problems that is in the larger society.
In his remarks, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, decried the existing inappropriate pension scheme, which has adversely affected the work staff.
It's for the benefit of our staff, and then make sure that we get their inputs to know the best way forward, because it's been in contention since we resumed in 2023, and as I speak now, even the pension board has not been constituted, and I know that billions and billions are lying, and then a lot of the staff who retired, some of them are sick, some have died without collecting their pensions and gratuities. So it's something we need to look at very fast and take a decision that will be in the overall interest of the staff of the National Assembly.
The bill now awaits its third reading and further deliberations before it can be enacted into law. Ramsey Enoch Agbo reporting for Global TV News.
The Nigerian Air Force has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Bradford Redunchintala Center for joint research, innovation, training, and redeployment of artificial intelligence application. The memorandum was signed at the International Kulinkum, which is part of activities marking 61st anniversary of Nigerian Air Force held at the center in Abuja. Kike Lomo Okere reports.
Speaking at the event, the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Bala, emphasized that the colloquium is a strategic milestone in line with his command's philosophy, which is to transform the Nigerian airplane force into an agile and resilient force that effectively meets the air-power demands of national security in all operational environments. It says the Memorandum of Understanding is the foundation of a strategic partnership to harness the power of space science and artificial intelligence for the enhancement of the national development and security.
These initiatives reaffirm space technology as a cornerstone of our national agenda, driving economic diversification, strengthening intelligence capabilities, and reinforcing sovereign resilience in an increasingly complex global landscape. It is against this backdrop that this colloquium becomes more than just a bilateral engagement, but a convergence point for national synergy in line with Mr. President's renewed hope agenda for a prosperous Nigeria.
Earlier, while welcoming the guests, the Chief of Communication and Information System, Air Vice Marshal Sulaiman Usman, says the event further underscores the Chief of the Air Staff's strategic intent to develop and sustain optimal operational effectiveness in the Nigerian Air Force by continually collaborating with relevant strategic partners that will contribute significantly to collective pursuit of harnessing cutting-edge technologies to address Nigerian pressing security challenges.
The International Colloquium on Leveraging Artificial Intelligence for Effective Utilization of Space Technology for Enhanced Operations is one of the major activities marking the NAFAC 61st anniversary celebrations. We gather here today at a critical moment in history, characterized by technological advancements in the midst of global security challenges.
The event, which brought together leading minds from Nigerian aerospace, defense, academia, and technology sector, as well as global experts from United Kingdom, was more than a ceremonial highlight. It marked the beginning of a transformative partnership and AI to advance national security, intelligence, and economic resilience. The colloquium featured key presentation, and each session addressed how data-driven technologies and real-time space capability can revolutionize modern warfare and intelligence framework. Kike Lomo Okere, Global Television News.
Over now to the Nigerian Navy says it has continued to maintain round-the-clock situational awareness of Nigeria's maritime domain, extending to the limits of the exclusive economic zone through the Maritime Domain Awareness Facilities. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, was represented by the Chief of Policy and Plans, Rear Admiral Ibrahim Diwu, stated this while addressing journalists on the forthcoming 69th anniversary of the service. Defense correspondent Kike Lomo Okere completes the report.
Navy Week is an annual event held to commemorate the establishment of the Nigerian Navy as part of the Armed Forces of Nigeria on June 1, 1956. The Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, who was represented by the Chief of Policy and Plans, Rear Admiral Ibrahim Diwu, explained that the Falcon Eye and Regional Maritime Awareness Capacity System have enabled early detection and swift response to incidents within Nigerian maritime environment.
This has ensured Nigeria maintained its zero piracy status in the International Maritime Bureau Piracy Rating. In furtherance to this, the Nigerian Navy has taken the initiative to ensure that the entire Gulf of Guinea is free of piracy and other maritime crimes.
It further reveals that in order to enhance the operational activities in the maritime domain, the service has taken delivery of 3 new patrol vessels and 3 newly acquired helicopters, which will be commissioned during the Navy Week. It further reveals that a total of 215 suspects and 26 vessels were arrested, while 468 illegal refining sites were deactivated in 2024. He added that an estimated quantity of 6.5 million liters of stolen crude oil and 7 million liters of illegal refined automated gas oil were seized and appropriately handled.
The new patrol vessels are NNS Shere, NNS Faro, and NNS Ikogosi. All 3 vessels are about 38 meters long with an endurance of 5 days. 2 of the vessels were acquired from Singapore and 1 from South Korea, and they all arrived in Nigeria in December 2024. These vessels will serve as seaward defense boats within Nigeria's littorals up to the 24 nautical miles contiguous zone.
The Navy Week celebration, which is expected to commence on the 23rd of May to June 1, 2025, will serve as an opportunity to present a scorecard of the Nigerian Navy's performance in the service of the nation. Kike Lomo Okere, Global Television News.
The All Progressives Congress, APC, cordially invites party stakeholders to a national summit themed Renewed Hope Agenda, the journey so far. APC stakeholders invited include the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, Vice President Kashim Shettima, President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Barao Jibrin, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, APC State Governors and their deputies, former President Muhammadu Buhari GCFR, and former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo GCON. Other invited stakeholders include former President and Deputy President of the Senate, former Speakers and Deputy Speakers of the House of Representatives, former Governors and Deputy Governors, all currently serving Senators and members of the House of Representatives, all members of the National Working Committee, National Caucus and National Executive Committee of the APC, all members of the Federal Executive Council, Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Also invited are former APC National Chairmen and National Secretaries, Speakers and Deputy Speakers of the State Houses of Assembly, Zonal Leaders, State Chairmen, State Secretaries, State Women Leaders, State Youth Leaders, State Publicity Secretaries, State Organizing Secretaries, and State Leaders of Persons with Disabilities of the APC. 2 Zonal Representatives of APC, Youth Wing, Women's Wing, Persons with Disabilities, support groups, media groups, and social media influencers of the party. Other invited stakeholders include representatives of APC, diaspora chapters, commissioners for information in APC states, 7 additional selected stakeholders from each state, representatives of the 2023 Presidential Campaign Council, heads of ministries, departments, and agencies. The National Summit, which is being convened as a platform for dialogue, reflection, and strategic planning for the future of our great party and the nation, is scheduled to hold as follows. Date, Thursday, the 22nd of May, 2025. Time, 10 a.m. Venue, Banquet Hall, Presidential Villa, Abuja. Signed, Senator Surajuddin Ajibola Bashir, National Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, APC.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
disbursing upkeep of 20,000 naira.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Good morning, and if you are just joining us, this is Global Morning, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, on Global Television. There has been wide speculations about a potential coalition involving major oppositions as we look ahead to the 2027 general elections. This news has certainly generated a lot of buzz, especially within, the Obedient movement and other party supporters, with so many wondering about its authenticity and what it could mean for the Nigeria's political future. Today, I am joined by two guests, and we will be, we will be dissecting this topic. I will come back with my guests just after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Global Morning. Before the break, I said that we are joined in the studio with a guest, and of course on Zoom, we're joined by another guest. Today I have a political analyst for excellence, and welcome Timothy Baba. You're welcome, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and over at Zoom, I have Francis Emele. He is also a political analyst. We will be discussing, they will dissect these developing scenarios, and we'll be exploring the fundamental necessity of political coalitions in Nigeria, multi-party democracy. We'll be analyzing why they are often discussed, their potential benefits, the challenges they face, while also looking at the roles of key political players and other parties in this dynamics. You're very much welcome, sir. Do I have Francis Emele on Zoom? Good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Priscilla. I hope you can hear me. Good morning, Priscilla.
Welcome to the show.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope you can hear me.
Good morning, sir. It's so great to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
So, like I said, we'll be discussing about the coalitions for the 2027 elections. There has been a widespread, topics and discussions about coalitions ahead of the 2027 general elections. And I want to start with this question to you, sir. The imperative of coalition in Nigeria's political landscape is, in a multi-party system like Nigeria's, we have numerous political parties, just like, the major ones, the APC, Labour Party, NNPP, and, the others. How crucial do you think is a coalition to securing the presidency in 2027? Is it almost a prerequisite for any opposition party hoping to unseat an incumbent, sir?
As of now, it is a prerequisite. In fact, it is practically impossible for anyone to unseat Tinubu or unseat APC at the national level in this present political atmosphere without coalition. It's not even as if the coalition is going to find it easy. If we want to look at what happened before taking away PDP in 2023, it took both local and international dimensions before that was achieved. It was not just a mere coming together of SCN and CPC, and just A campaign was taken beyond Nigeria. The campaign was taken using every means available, using a peaceful campaign, using threats, using propaganda, using everything. And election is just about 2 years' time. Neither PDP, the highly fragmented, fractured, destroyed PDP, nor the Labour Party, nor any party can stand up for APC. It will go beyond the coalition of parties. It will approach to the coalition of individuals. Change of mindset by Nigerians. People really willing for a change for APC to be unseated. So coalition in simple terms is very, very key at this point. Very important. It is necessary. In fact, it is mandatory.
Wow. Interesting. Let's hear from the studio. Let's hear from Timothy Baba. So what do you think? Do you think a coalition is necessary?
Yeah, just like the other guests have said, it's necessary, it's mandatory, because it took opposition so many things to take out PDP in 2015. It's very, very important because you can't, going by the 2023 general elections, you can see that you will have, if you see the results, the president had 8-point-something million, Atiku had 6.9 million votes, Peter Obi had 6.1 million votes. You can see if the two of them should come together, that's 30 million as against 8 million. But it might not work in that way, the way we are seeing it. And aside from the president, you have this, the general requirement. Apart from having the highest number of votes, you need about 25% of the votes in 2/3 of the states. That's 24 states in Nigeria. Out of those requirements, the president, Tinubu, had 31 states where he had 25% of those votes. Meanwhile, Atiku had just like 16 states, while Atiku had just 21 states, while Peter Obi had 16 states. So you can see the two of them didn't meet the requirement. Yeah. So it will take a coalition to come board. There are so many factors that will determine if the coalition will work or not. So many factors.
When you say factors, what do you mean?
It depends on who is giving the slot for the presidency. It depends on who is going to be the vice. Because if you are to give a northerner the lead, it's going to be an issue for the southerners. And they might say, no, we won't go with it because it's our turn to be the president. And then, aside from the fact that Nigeria plays this kind of politics that has to do with tribes, religion is a major factor also when it comes to politics in Nigeria. So the people, there have been talks that Peter Obi has been given chance for the VP, and then he is coming out to say that no, the coalition that he wants is against poverty, it's against this, against that. Yeah. Now Atiku has said, okay, we are still deliberating, we are still discussing. We have not yet concluded on which post we are to take. But I feel they should just come out plainly because time is going. If you are talking of a merger, INEC has timetable. It's supposed to be 12 months before the general elections. Okay, we have 2 years more. But if this thing prolongs, which party are they going to come out for? On which platform are they going to contest? How will they do it? And because, you cannot say, okay, PDP, as it is now, has issues. Labour Party have 3 chairmen. Yeah. You have the Abure function, you have the Apapa function, you have the Nenadi Usman function. Peter Obi and Alex Oti are together with Nenadi Usman. They are together with her. Abure is on his own. Apapa is saying that he's acting chairman of the other party. So you cannot have 3 chairmen in one party. For PDP, they have 2 secretaries. The governors are going with Okoye, while the likes of Wike are going with Anyanwu. So there are so many issues. So who writes to INEC that this and that? So you are not thinking, okay, if there's going to be a coalition, which party are they going to run?
Okay, let's go back to our guest on Zoom. Sir, are you there with me?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, so let's talk about Peter Obi a bit. He has come out to debunk, like you said, a lot of speculations. But looking at him, how do you interpret his openness or reluctance towards a broad coalition? Is a coalition a strategic necessity for his political ambition, or does he believe his movement can stand alone? Can it stand alone? I just want to hear your take, sir.
I don't even think P2B can ever think in this current arrangement that his movement can stand alone. Of course, the most naive of Nigerians cannot think that way. It cannot stand alone. I don't think P2B is not discussing. I believe he's discussing. I only believe they are being economical with information they bring out here. Because I listened to him, he didn't say they are not discussing. He didn't, and Atiku did not also say so. I just believe they have not reached conclusion, because the conclusion they will reach is going to be is even more difficult to reach a conclusion in this matter, because just like your guest there said, there are a lot of hiccups. It's very difficult for Obi is not leading a political party. As far as I'm concerned, Labour Party is not a political party. They are not serious. The structure of Obi, what Obi has at hand is the political is the obedient movement, which we know that they are capable of rebelling any perceived compromise. Of course, if you say Obi should go with obedient movement, how acceptable is Obi in the north? We can't play down that north-south dichotomy. How acceptable is Obi in the north? So he needs the coalition. The coalition is necessary. Can you hear me?
Okay, thank you so much for that, sir. Thank you. Let's come back to you, sir, Timothy. Similarly, for a veteran like Atiku Abubakar, who has consistently sought the presidency, what are your observations on his current political activities regarding coalition building, especially? Do you believe he sees a grand coalition as a necessity for 2027, or is he more likely, to pursue the presidency under his party banner, perhaps hoping, for fragmented opposition?
Hey, I think last month he was asked this question, and he said, is he going to contest, or he is going to just support anyone that comes? And he said that in 2014, when they came together in APC, they had an agreement that, okay, anybody that wins the primary election, that every other person will support that candidate. And then he contested in 2014 primary election in Lagos, but Buhari won the primary election then APC. But the issue here is, I feel the mistake Atiku made from beginning was leaving the PDP, leaving Goodluck. I was feeling, okay, probably he will have said, okay, since Goodluck is contesting 2015, okay, then I will take over from you. It could have been much more easier for him. But as it is now, he might, one thing about time and chance is that for you to have something at times, you need to be at the right place and at the right time. Yeah. So I feel Atiku has been fighting since 2007. He went to ACN, PDP, APC, he's now back to PDP. He has been moving just for him to get that power. But one thing that you understand is that at every time, seasons change. Politics is dynamic. There's a lot of dynamics in politics. For me, I feel Atiku should actually probably say, okay, if the South has 4 more years, for me, I would say, okay, he should say, okay, let's bring someone who is from the South to contest for the presidential election. I don't think he needs to even contest this 2027. The reason is because if you do that, if he goes into contest, the South will feel, if they're saying that he wants to do just one time, the South will feel that if Atiku should go in and then he becomes the president, what happens in 2031? That's what they will be looking at. If 2031 comes, North will say, okay, You know, this thing is a gentleman agreement. It's not as if it's by the constitution. It's not written. But it's, if you do this 8 years, I will do the next 8 years. It's as simple as that. But for Atiku now, he wants to contest, and he wants to become president in 2027, which is kind of difficult for the Southerners to comprehend at this particular point. So I feel this just bring
the topic of him contesting in the first place.
No.
He should present, someone credible from the South. Okay, let's go back to our guest on Zoom, Mr. Francis Emele. The Obedient, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Are you with me, please?
Yes.
So the Obedient movement was, a significant force in the last election. How would you describe this current momentum and structure, especially with the whole drama happening, in the Labour Party? And how does its unique nature impact the necessity and feasibility of, probably having a coalition at the end of the day?
The Obedient movement can, as amorphous as the movement is, P2B does not even have the control of the Obedient movement. So whatever he's agreeing or whatever he's trying to do must be seen as to appeal to the generality of the movement. Of course, we know there must be a fallout too. So if you say, for instance, a one-time VP promise, I'm seeing the discussion already throughout social media, Twitter, Facebook, and the rest. Just like your guest there say, it's not enforceable. It is fraught with risk. Many Obedients are seeing it. Apart from the fact that the South really believe it is still their turn, which would really affect Obi deputizing anybody from the North, including Atiku. Obi core strength is Obedient movement, and they they're already rebelling any perceived compromise. The North-South equation requires strategic, not just submissive alliance. Obi's legacy and reformist image should not be traded with for short-time political relevance. I support the coalition talk. Everyone should support it, but that it will have to be Atiku will do a lot of damages to Obi image. And how are we even sure? Because how are we even sure where the obedience are going to flow? If you go to the social media, you find out that there is a lot of disagreement. Some of them are really for it, while some are not for it. I know it's going to fracture the movement. And that APC is watching from afar, and they are very happy that any decision you take, definitely, that did not project Obi. Personally, I would have preferred we go for Atiku if he's going to guarantee us what we are looking for. But it's not about me, it's about Obedient movement and the people in the north. There are two blocks now, the northern people and the Obedient movement, and two of them finding a meeting ground is going to be very difficult. That's it. So why political alliances are necessary in Nigeria involving democracy? Any measure must be grounded in equity, shared vision. This must be perceived, it must be believed that it is grounded in equity and shared vision and respect for the aspiration of the people. P2B represents a generational shift, at least perceived to represent a generational shift, and a movement rooted in integrity and reform. Subordinating that hope to a one-time promise risks betraying the trust of millions. True changes doesn't start from the backseat of the old order. It demands bold principles. You are talking about only in the side of Obedient movement. You have to also consider people in the north. So that balance, I think, is exactly where both of them are trying to meet a meeting ground before making whatever.
Okay, thank you for that. I want to chip this question in. There is this nature of, the winner takes it all in the Nigerian politics. That is, nobody wants to be at the back. Everybody wants to be, at the front, So this makes sometimes coalition agreements difficult to sustain, even if, they are seen as necessary for victory. How do you think it can be navigated within this the political space, especially for the 2027 elections and those that are rooting for their favorite political parties?
Winners take it all. Please, I want you to repeat the question. Are you talking about...
Did you get that, sir?
Winners take it all. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Ahead.
It's like, can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead, please.
Okay. Is it really easy to overcome? It's not easy. Winners take it all can only be curtailed from major constitutional amendments. In the present arrangement, there's nothing you can really do about it. Even Atiku can even become president and treat OP the way Buhari treated Osibanjo. I'm talking about people who are even running the same tickets, let alone people that does not belong to the same political party. Winners take it all has come to be until there is a major restructuring, major arrangement that is constitutional. Some people take it as revenge. If you look at the appointment of Tinubu, as clannish as it appears, not even clannish. It's not even distributed among the Yorubas as people are saying. It's majorly Lagos axis. So they're not that are shouting. When they shout, me and life, some of us laugh from the behind. Didn't Buhari did the same thing? So another person may enter and do the same thing too. And there is no really constitutional provision to enforce it. The little one about this thing is not even enforced, let alone trying to curtail appointment. So for now, we are living with it. It's our wound for now, until there is a major restructuring that will take care of it.
Timothy Baba, what's your take? Do we just accept this defeat of, winner takes it all? When that frontliner is being represented at the, federal level, the presidency, what happens to, other party members that came together to give this person support? Do they just take the back seat and wait till it's time for vengeance, or what? What's the way forward, sir?
The reason why most times winner takes it all works is you check how the campaigns were funded. Who brings in more money to it? You understand? If you have someone who, let's say the president or the candidate brings in more money, politics is money. Campaigns are done with money. Aside from the fact that they tell you, okay, we are just giving this, they give a lot of money. You can imagine how much they give there. They have agents in every polling unit, these political parties, and those agents are giving money. That one is legitimate. They give them money for their work. Now you talk about how much they pay, they buy these things, they give, and funny enough, it might be the one who is on the president that gives the money. I thought
INEC is supposed to be the ones in charge of all of these monies, for official monies for these elections. When you talk about polling units now and those staff,
they have their agents.
Okay, agents. Agents. All right.
And they have their ad hoc staff.
Okay.
Parties have their agents.
Okay.
So the agent will stand and defend the votes of his or her.
Okay, so you're speaking particularly about agents.
Yes.
Okay.
They give them money. A lot of money goes into campaigns and the rest. And to be sincere to some governors, they take loans. To fund for their campaigns. And then that's why you see some states, the deputy governor is as if he's nothing, because when I was contesting, he didn't give me. So I think until we come to the point where you reduce money politics, and then you have given people their respect. There are some, when Buhari was president, there are some offices that he collected from us, and he sidelined him. And all these things are because the people that helped in winning
victory,
we were together with Buhari. They gave him money. So they say there are some ministers that had more power than the vice president. You understand? So I think it's when we reduce the issue of money politics. That's when the winner takes it all will drastically go down. When you reduce the issue of money,
okay, so we need honest votes, from citizens across the country. You don't get to buy votes. Yes. So right now it's a game of money. money. Oh, I get your point. So, beyond the presidency now, even if a coalition doesn't secure the presidency, what impacts could a strong, unified opposition formed through a coalition have on legislative and gubernatorial elections in 2027? Is a coalition, necessary for a more robust opposition voice in governance? And let me add this: what are the potential long-term implications for Nigeria's democracy if a significant opposition coalition were formed, or were to form, and gain ground regardless of, the presidential outcome? I don't know if you got that.
Yes.
Okay.
If you want to check the long-term plan, the long-term impact of this coalition, let's go back to 2014. What was the reason for the coalition? They wanted to take power from PDP, and we've seen the implications of that coalition. We've seen the implication. This is 10 years, and we've seen where it has brought us. Now, if the coalition is to take power from the APC, I don't think we will have different results with what we're having right now. So what needs to be checked is that, are they coming together to fight for Nigerians? That there is high level of poverty, there is hunger, there is high level of insecurity. Are they, apart from the fact that they're shouting that they want power, how many of them are actually engaged the presidency on policies that affect the masses? How many of them? The only person that speaks most times is Peter Obi. The NPP guy, so what has he said? Since Atiku, whenever it has to do with some personal things, that one day you see them talk. They've not, okay, if they are saying that, okay, the presidency, they are not doing what's supposed to be done, what other reforms are they bringing? This is what if you have solutions to the problems you are facing as a country, okay, bring them out. You don't have to even start saying you want to contest. Let's see that, okay, you care about the people. Yes. The people, not just because you want power and the rest. So if the coalition is done so as to seize power from the APC, it's going to fail.
Interesting conversations. Like you've just rightly said, it shouldn't always be about the elections. Beyond the elections, let us see what these aspirants, these candidates have to offer, what they bring to the table. Like a lot of people would say, let us see your potentials. Shouldn't just always be about the elections. We are wrapping up right now. I don't know if we still have Francis Emele there.
I'm here. I'm with you.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for your contributions. I don't know if you have any last words for us before you go or before we wrap up the show today.
Okay. Since our topic or theme of discussion really focused on the ongoing discussion about merging or not, I conclude with this merging with Atiku, as in P2B, merging with Atiku isn't a bad idea at all. But of course, the answer whether they are to merge or not is not a yes, no, it's not a yes or no answer. It is my stance on Peter Obi deputizing Atiku, because that's what many people are talking more because of the flash news the other day. It reflects a nuanced perspective. I acknowledge the complexity of the situation. It is clear that there are multiple factors to consider, and it is not a simple yes or no answer. The strength and the autonomy of the obedient movement and the potential backlash from Obi supporters must be weighed carefully. Additionally, the political dynamics, including regional acceptability, especially considering Obi in the north, and the risks associated with entering into alliance with a figure seen by some as part of the old guard, is also further complicating the issue. That's exactly why we are here. I support the alliance. I support everything that will happen to remove the APC, as long as it's not going to be worse than. I don't want to be like the former Buharist who just want to remove Goodluck Jonathan. I want to be anything worse than Tinubu, because Tinubu has taught us a lesson that we cannot reach low enough. We have not gotten low enough. And I support really
Thank you very much, sir, for your perspective. It is, highly valued here on the Global Morning. And thank you so much, Timothy Baba, for joining us this morning. We will wrap up the segment of, Global Morning. My colleague will join you soon as we unravel more topics on Global Morning. Thank you so much for staying with us. Please stay tuned.
Thank you.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Welcome back to the second segment of Global Morning here on Global Television. All right, it is a World Day for Cultural Diversity, for Dialogue and Development. And joining me to talk about culture in Nigeria and how it has helped to shape the nation in general is the president of Afro-Caribbean Chamber of Culture and Tourism, in the person of Honorable Quadri Adu-Kehinde. You're welcome to Global Morning.
Thank you.
All right, it's a very big day where we'll talk about culture and diversity and talk about the dialogue and how it's helping to develop us. But then let's begin the conversation from first. The issues around culture and conversation around cultures tend to be diminishing, even around Nigeria, and by extension, Africa, because we are beginning to adopt borrowed culture across the world to begin to try to reinvent our practices. But in your own assessment, how will you rate the cultural practices right now in Nigeria in terms of deliverables in dialogue and development of Nigeria in general?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, Africa. When we talk of culture, it's something that is part of us. There's no way you can rule out culture in your everyday life. And that is why I don't want to follow that step of saying the culture is diminishing. You know, to some extent, you know, even in your own family, you know, we have everyday to-day activities. Every day, you know, you use culture, you know, even in a family, you know, to correct things in the family, you know, you use culture. Then coming to government, you know, our day-to-day activities, you know, even at the government level, culture is part of it. You know, it may be diminishing maybe because of government policies, you know, in this part of the world. You know, there are some countries that don't joke with their culture. You know, even look at what happened in Rome. You know, culture is part of religion. Now, when they want to appoint the new pope, they went through a lot of cultural activities. You know, because when you mention culture in Nigeria, people will look at it as maybe you are talking of traditions. They are two different things. You know, because knowing how to drink, knowing how to talk to people, knowing when to talk, knowing when not to talk, these are cultural practices, and it has been part of our daily activities. So what will make it diminish from your own assessment, the way you spoke about it now, is maybe government policies, you know, and then the way people, you know, the way we're supposed to hold culture, maybe we are not holding it that way. Because culture is big, culture is massive. You know, when you're talking of culture, you're talking of tourism. You're talking of culture, you're talking of the clothes, the type of clothes, you know, we're wearing. You know, you talk of the food we eat. You talk of our way of life. These are culture. So for it to diminish, maybe the impact of the way government handle it. But any serious country will not joke with culture.
All right. So, Kenny, let's look at this issue of culture again from a very strong standpoint. Now, you've said that the culture is, you would agree that it's diminishing. But then again, we have a conversation around the fact that these cultures in Nigeria, today is a World Cultural Diversity Day, and we're not talking about any of this even within Nigeria. We're not celebrating this day. We're not celebrating our unity in diversification. When you look at this, is it that we are not aware, or we don't just want to talk about the diversity that has been able to effectively promote our cultures in Nigeria?
Everything is still come back to government. The Ministry of Culture, Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and Creative Economy. You know, this is a ministry that's supposed to wake up today and say, well, we're celebrating this. You know, and then not only that alone, even under the ministry, we have National Council for Arts and Culture, you know, NCAC. These are organizations that should stand up today and say we're celebrating this. But when you look at what is happening in Nigeria today, you know, a whole lot of things, you know, is affecting so many things. Because even the ministry, the government agencies you are talking about, they will tell you there's no money to do anything. Because there's no way we will want to celebrate this in Nigeria, even to create awareness. Let people know about what culture is all about today. Let's talk about diversity, cultural diversity today. Let students in their schools know that today is Cultural Day of Cultural Diversity. It involves money. And when you go to all this ministry, they tell you there's no money. So it still it still boils down to government policy. It's high time our government take culture serious, because culture, you know, some people may look at it as you know, culture can provide jobs Culture can change narratives. With culture, even at National Assembly, they will behave well. At the executive level, they will behave well. Judiciary will behave well if we take culture the way we should take it.
All right. I quite agree with you on that stance. But again, let's draw this conversation to another perspective in the sense of the technology and the evolution of our cultural practices in Nigeria. And we look at Nigeria as a case study. The East, the West, the North, and South have various cultural practices. And there is large unity in this diversity. But in terms of cultural development, in terms of advancing the course of our technology and dialoguing for progress in the country, we've not seen that play out. Rather, we've seen our cultures have become a weapon for disunity in Nigeria. You want to throw your weight around this conversation. How best can we begin to talk about culture in order to harness the good of Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Well, like I rightly say, it depends on the way you look at it, the perspective you look at it. Because like I rightly mentioned earlier, culture can change the narratives. It's one thing to understand culture. It's one thing to know how to use it to the betterment of the populace. Nigerians, God brought us together. The entity called Nigeria. It's God Almighty that brought North, East, West, brought us together. But what is causing a kind of altercation? What is causing issues among the tribe is not culture, but politics. We brought politics in place of culture because it's politics and religion. Religion is part of culture. But the way we are using it in this part of the world is to the detriment of the populace. Because you are a Muslim or you are a Christian, you cannot work together, you cannot do this together until we stop that. And what can stop that is culture. Cultural diversity, like you rightly mentioned, we've been doing that in the past. A man will wake up, a man from Lagos will travel down to the east and marry their daughter. And now some will say, no, I want to marry a Yoruba girl, And then with culture, they will make everything easier for them, But in this day and age, when we should be talking about the technological advancement you are talking about, people will tell you that because my daughter because I'm a Christian, my daughter cannot marry a Muslim. Because I'm an Ijaw man, my son cannot marry somebody from the north. Until we stop that. And what can stop that is culture. First thing is, let us understand culture. Let us know that with culture, it can bring a whole lot of opportunities. With culture, any country that embraces culture the way they should embrace it, even the GDP will increase drastically. I'm coming back to that later, because when we want to talk about, we start looking at talking about the commercialization of culture, the business angle of culture.
Adukani, we always know that you're always a businessman, and when it has to do with business, you're always ignited and excited to talk about business. But before we get to the business side of that conversation, culture by definition has been said to be the total way of life of a particular group of people over a given period of time. That's the elementary definition of culture. But when it has to do with cultural diversity, when we mention culture in Nigeria, there is a narrative that most Nigerians hold sway to, and that's the fact that most cultural practices are usually diabolic, and most cultural practices are something that you shouldn't be identified with. You want to talk to us about this narrative. How safe is the culture, and how safe can we say we want to allow diversification and embrace diversity of our culture? How safe is it?
Well, it's safe. If we don't embrace it, other countries are embracing it. I read something, there was an information day before yesterday that Brazil has become the cultural capital of the world. what makes Brazil to become cultural capital of the world? It's because of all these things that we are saying is diabolic, you know, in this part of the world. When you're talking of Oya, when you're talking of Shango, they evolved from Nigeria, from southwest here. There's a place they call Ujubo Shango in southwest, where Shango came out from. And the history has supported that. Shango, Oya, Obatala, all these gods that we don't value here. In Brazil, they don't joke with it. They worship them. They do a lot of programs around them. And what we say is diabolical, is, you know, diabolical here. They embrace it because they see it as their own religion. So it's their own religion and they do it, they're making good money from it. To the extent that the city of Bahia in Brazil, they've legalized Yoruba as their second language. As their second language. You know, if you are into tradition religion and you go to Brazil, and not only Brazil, even some other Caribbean nation, you make good money. So what you call diabolical here, to them, is their religion. Why not let us come together and say that let's make use of this to our advantage? Because these people believe in Oya. They worship Oya, they worship Shango, and we don't believe in it.
But couldn't the perception be that a lot of people that worship Oya and Shango, Obatala, Amadioa, Mbokomboko, Atimekwebo, and what have you in Nigeria, couldn't the conversation be that most people that worship some of these gods have become very fetishly wicked and use those practices to commit havoc even to the society? That's why people have relegated some of these practices to the back door of the bedrock for wickedness and evil. Couldn't this be the conversation?
Well, the colonial masters, when they came, the first thing they said, even before coming, is that how can we capture Africa? The only way to capture Africa is collect their religion and let's give them our own. And they did that. You know, I'm a Muslim. I don't practice Obatala, but people that believe in it, let us leave them. Don't call them, don't call them names. Because what you think is diabolical here, somewhere else is something good, you know. But the Westerners came and look at it that the only way we can capture Nigerians is let's introduce our religion. Let's bring missionaries to go into interland and preach the gospel to people. And they succeeded. But look at a country like India. They went there too, but up to today, India still believe in their traditions. They don't throw it away. They, you know, they marry every time. When you're talking of where technology is evolving seriously now, that you can't go leave their house. They are brilliant, but they don't joke with their religion. Their traditional religion.
All right. Honorable Kenny, just as we begin to pack our things to leave the studio this morning, let's talk about in terms of some culture, and today being the day for cultural diversity and dialogue for development. Let's look at all of this. You are a cultural enthusiast. You've traveled far and wide across the world. What do you think that Nigerians should begin to do differently in order to embrace our culture, and especially for younger Nigerians that are watching you this morning? What should be the takeaway for them?
Good. To government, there should be good policies to support culture, because when you are talking of culture, you are talking of tourism, like I rightly mentioned. When you're talking of culture, you are talking of entertainment. When you're talking of culture, you are talking of the people who are into supply of our clothing. You are talking of culture, so many ways. So if we can have from government, we have a right policy, and then the Ministry of Culture, you know, let the budget of that ministry, let government do something about it, so that it can, you know, they can have money to do so many things. And then even the ministry, what they put in one ministry is too much. It's only in Nigeria where you have a Ministry of Culture. Art is big, culture is big, Tourism is big, creative economy, one ministry. It's that time we call on government. We fought, we clamor for it that time that there should be a separate ministry for tourism. And President Tinubu came and did that. But after some times, they gave it to one, they compressed the ministry again. We are still calling on federal government the present administration, that let us have separate ministry for tourism. Let creative economy and culture, be on their own. Tourism is big. There are some countries that don't have anything. Their GDP and everything is on tourism. Nigeria can do the same thing. We have a lot we can make good money from, aside oil. So it's high time we're calling on government to, the present administration should consider this. That ministry is too big, it's too large for one person to administer.
All right, that's how far we can go with this conversation. I want to say thank you so much, Honorable Quadri Abdul Kendi, the president of Afro-Caribbean Chamber of Culture and Tourism, for finding out time to be with us here on Global Morning.
Thank you.
Well, we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll still talk more even on Global Morning. Please stay with us. The show continues in a moment.
Thank you.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
You're welcome back. Just in case you're just joining us, this is Global Morning here on Global Television. My name is Godwin Sunday. Well, Nigerian and AI have become like Siamese twins. They go hand in hand, especially the younger version of Nigeria. You can't take away AI from their conversation. They want to write these days. People go to AI. To cook, people go to AI. To live normal life, people go to, as a matter of fact right now, people say that they now find dating sites, and of course, various dating sites are evolving from the AI. Well, we'll be talking this morning to a digital expert talking about the AI technology and its impact in Nigeria. Joining me right now to talk about the generative AI in Nigeria is Samuel Nitwe, who is a digital expert. You're welcome to Global Morning.
Thank you, Mr.
Well, Samuel, let's look at the AI technology. In your own assessment so far, is it a curse or a blessing to Nigerians?
It's definitely a blessing, but one that needs to be handled with care because it can easily switch to a curse if misused.
The reason why I'm asking is because we have a situation right now where more humans don't get to talk to human beings, rather they talk to more to devices. We have students in universities that don't carry out assignment. They bank on various AI tools to do that. Right now, we even have conversations where people have to record you and doctor videos in order to stay afloat and keep track with various happenings within the social media space. And this has become like, this comes at the detriment of a lot of people. And we have the increase on cyberbullying has gone up. So I'm asking again, should we begin to say that AI is a blessing to Nigeria, going by all of these irregularities that has come with the AI initiative in Nigeria? Your own take, what do you think going by the bullying and cyber threatening and other vices that come from the internet?
Yes, so that's a very good observation. So I would still maintain that AI is a blessing, but just like many powerful tools, it comes with very huge risks. And so just like every powerful tool, it's the misuse is also costly, just like you mentioned, this potential doctoring of videos and misuse. And I would actually, along as we go on, I would like to talk about some of the things that lead to some of this misuse, or how AI can actually be used for the betterment, right? Or why I'm saying or insisting that AI is a blessing to Nigeria. So, but I still maintain that despite all the challenges, despite all the potential points of misuse, it's still a blessing, but it just needs to be handled. And that's why there is a push for ethics, for ethical use of AI. There's a push for very good use of AI, because it definitely can be misused. Acknowledge that it can be misused. AI can be misused, and most of these scenarios I've mentioned are areas in which AI is currently is being misused by others. But there are also very great ways in which AI is being used for disabled persons. There are a lot of ways in which AI is being used, so it still remains a blessing, but it has great potential. It can be misused, and that's why there's a need for ethics, for heavy emphasis on ethical use, and people need to know how to use AI the right way.
Well, sir, there's a tweak to the conversation. The tweak is that a lot of people will be losing their jobs as a result of the adoption of AI. How correct is this to say that more Nigerians will be thrown into the unemployment market because more businesses are adopting the AI models?
Yes, so about jobs, I would say it's in two folds. So the first is, yes, some jobs will be phased out, just like how computing phased out a lot of roles, right? You admit that computing, like when in the 90s, you had human calculators, you had mathematicians that performed calculations. But when calculators and computers came out and could perform millions of calculations in split second, it phased out the need for mathematicians or for mathematicians in that specific task, right? But it has transformed as it came. It also created new roles. Like programming was not something that existed sometimes back. I'm just trying to go somewhere. So and when you look at, for instance, Uber or taxis or some of this, when you look at every innovation, it's has the potential to phase out certain jobs, but it also has room for transformation of how existing jobs are. For instance, when you look at every space, including software engineering, you have AI that writes codes now. that can build full stack applications. At least it's still at prototype level, or it's still at early stage. We can an argument will be placed out there that it's not, you can't build very sophisticated solutions with it, but it's still growing. And we're getting to a point where every job is being affected by AI. So yes, to an extent, AI is shifting how transforming how works are done, and it will phase out the need for certain roles, and for other roles it will transform how they are being have been performed. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a good. It could be a very good thing in such that when AI is used very well. Let's given for instance, as a journalist, you can use AI now to research. I would like to use an example of back. Let me just try to take us back. So if you look at Nigeria, let's see the internet. So in the 90s in Nigeria, if you wanted to perform, like complete a research in university, you would need access to journals, to books, and what it meant was you have to go to the library to physically get copies of the books you want. If you don't have them there, the librarian goes out to the to maybe to send a report to other libraries to get those books. So, but with the internet, you admit that even with the breakthrough in the internet, even though we have much more resources, people there is still a sect of students who have instead of having more quality research, now would I say lazy. And that's not because the internet has made them lazy. It's because they are using, or rather the transformation, they have not tapped into the right ways to use that, because technically with the internet and the connection of interconnection of so many resources and libraries, it's supposed to produce so much more quality research, quality access to data and all these things. So we the same thing with AI. You have the potential with AI to be able to go deeper. Companies are investing heavily in AI. You can see big countries like US, China are investing heavily in AI because it accelerates research, it accelerates productivity, and makes you focus on the real things. There are things that AI cannot take away from humans. There are still things that AI cannot take away from humans. So I believe that with jobs, rather than seeing AI as a tool that is here to just bring like an apocalypse, like end like some of the movies, I would say we should see it that yes, while it changes jobs, we should try to explore. Everyone should start looking at their current jobs and see how can, given the transformation in AI, how can I transform, or how can I improve or adapt to use AI and not get phased out by other competition, because there are definitely effective ways in which you will be able to make the most out of AI and not get phased out, because definitely AI, whether you like it or not, AI will transform or change how we do our jobs. Just like internet has changed, the internet has changed how the teachers, you have teachers on YouTube, you have teachers virtually, all those things have changed how jobs were done compared to the pre-internet phase and also post-internet phase. So the AI, in summary, AI will actually transform our roles, and it's the best way forward is to see how we can adapt and make the best out of it, and not be scared of jumping on the bus.
Well, Samuel Nitwe, yes. Just before I let you go, just a few minutes before we call it a wrap this morning, AI has made Nigerian students more lazy than what it was before, where students would burn the candle and read up the nights to stay afloat and stay informed. But right now, it's as if most students are more lazy due to AI. And we get to see the other conversation where the government is still not regulating the AI space in Nigeria. Going by this trend, can we say that Nigerian is sitting on the time bomb if AI is not being regulated and the time frame being put to regulate the AIs?
Okay, I like the direction of the question, because it's actually very practical and concerns that are are being deliberated or are being debated. So first thing I would like to say is AI is not what is making the students lazy. It has just created an avenue for students who are lazy to be more lazy.
To amplify their laziness.
Exactly. So because a student who normally doesn't do his assignments, before AI, what would be the route? It will be they'll copy their friends' work, right? They'll copy their notes. They'll go to before AI. These are habits that are already been there. A student who is very diligent doing the assignments and researches, maybe checks Google, read materials, reads content before AI. With AI, the AI empowers him. So AI amplifies the need to or the existing what I call it behavior of the students. So it's not necessarily a case where in conclusion, what I'm trying to say is AI is not the enabler. It's just a tool that can be misused, and so it's just like scammers. So just like AI is not empowering scammers, or AI is not creating scams. It's just
AI is a tool.
So it's a tool to scam better. Do you understand? So just so like that. So it's misuse. It's not the tool. It's the misuse. So AI is not just like we can't say AI is creating scams or enabling scams, but rather scammers are using AI to scam better. So same thing. Lazy students are using AI to be more lazy. So the problem is not necessarily AI, but emphasis on this, because while we complain about the laziness, I'm not saying it's not valid. It's very valid, and it's actually there because you have a case now. It's now left a way to tackle that would be to empower teachers or the lecturers with a way to penalize this poor habits, and that means there is room for more innovation in the way questions are set, that those who copy lazy are penalized,
and they won't be able to detect.
Exactly.
Even Samuel, literally, we have a lot of things to discuss even on AI, but I've been saying that right now that it's time for us to go. Let's tag this as AI conversation part 1.
Yes.
We'll bring you back for the part 2 because we've not even exhausted half of what we have here. A lot of questions that are begging for answers even on AI conversations in Nigeria. But I want to say thank you so much for finding out time to be with us here on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me too.
Well, viewers, we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we will still talk more on this table before we bid you farewell. Please stay with us. And welcome back. And at this point is the final lap of the show, and it's a wrap up right now. But then, Priscilla, quite a lot of conversation we've had today.
Oh yeah, interesting conversations.
Yeah, and viewers, we believe that we've been able to help you stay informed and keep you informed even from 7 a.m. till this time of the day. I want to appreciate you for also being part of our morning, as we've been also part of your morning. But this is how far we can go today on a Global Morning. So Global Morning returns your way again, same time, same station, tomorrow. From I and my colleague, I want to say from this table, it's bye for now.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle with ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
Yeah.